Welcome to Tour Buds Live. I am your host, Andy, and I am with our beautiful co-host, Derek G. What's up, Derek?
What's up, Andy? What's happening?
Yeah.
This show, Tour Buds, all about helping the upcoming bands by talking to musicians and industry pros, give everybody the right insight, good advice. Let's go, Andy.
Yeah, we like to learn about people's stories. We like to hear their their life in music because it's fucking crazy. Everyone has a wild story and we love it. We love everybody. Everyone's welcome. We don't care who you love, what you look like, where you're from, how much money you make or don't. We don't give a fuck. We want to be happy and have a good time. We want to laugh, maybe
Sure.
even cry a little bit. I almost cried last interview. I don't know if you saw that, Derek.
I did. That happens quite often. No, I see. I know your cues,
Yeah.
but you held it together. Did
Thank
a good job.
At least I saved that like moment for the end. It was not like
There was a little dabble in the middle as well, but
yeah, let's
we'll
not talk.
brush right by that.
Yeah, we're brushing way through that. Today we have a really cool show. We have Joe Calderon from Lightworker. That's gonna be really fun. He's gonna be on in a brief moment. I want to share something with you, Derek. It was not every day is the same.
That's
As
true.
as we all know. I sometimes do not wake up happy. I do not wake up sad always either. But today was not fantastic. I had a very tough time getting out of bed today, Derek.
Okay. Tell
Holy
me about
shit, dude.
it, Andy. Tell me about
I
it.
oh my god. It was just one of those days where I was just woke up feeling like my first word was fuck. And I just for no reason. And then I was just like, I just started dead scrolling on IG. I watched some adult films. I just like couldn't. It was just like one dopamine fix after the other,
Gotcha.
and I just couldn't. And I was like, I wanted to be happy, so I just was like dopamine fix, dopamine fix. Video games. I've even tried some video games to make me cheer up, and I just couldn't put it together. Derek, I ate a whole tin of lasagna today because I was searching for happiness today. I was
Okay.
searching for it, dude. But I'll tell you what, I remembered that I do have antidepressants and I do have ADHD medicine, which actually helped a lot. So, shout out to anyone who has some issues like myself. You're not alone. We all go through ups and downs, and we need some help sometimes. It's okay. No shame in going to the doctor and maybe getting some meds. But even that didn't help that as much. You know what helped me? I'll tell you what, Derek.
Tell me.
I got a haircut and I feel a little cleaner.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
like
Damn.
I feel cleaner, and then I watched some comedy. Like I just watched some, and it just I think laughter.
Chuckles.
Yeah, when I had that laughter, the genuine laughter, I started feeling everything flow through me. It felt,
I love it.
oh my god, it felt
I love
great,
that you're working through your ways to get to where you need to be, Andy.
dude. We all. I just had to
You
share
know?
that with you. I had to have a raw, candid moment with you.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you made it out of the house. You got got some good work in today. Nice fresh haircut, and now we're here. You seem very chipper.
I feel way better. I did, but I went through it, dude. I was going through. I was like, I don't know how. Because these episodes, the show means a lot to me. Obviously, it's like everything, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this show. I'm fucking sad for no reason. But I got there. I'm feeling way better, and I see.
Yeah.
Has that symbol always been there? That symbol behind you?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
signed by Tesseract.
Oh, great band.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of my good ones.
I'm excited to talk with Joe because I think in listening to his band, I think first of all he has a lot of range in his vocals. He could sing,
Definitely.
he could scream, he could do it all, and I'm very fascinated by the story with the whole Solid State story because like for me as a young kid and starting to listen to metalcore, Solid State was like the gold standard back then, you know.
Definitely.
So I think it's cool to hear someone's take from being there. But yeah. So What do you think? Shall we bring him on now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Joe, what's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Ah, fantastic. How is California right now?
In the Bay Area,
Bay Area.
it's Yeah, the Bay Area is not that bad. It's you know, moderate as California is known for being. So yeah.
Hey, Joe, the last time I went on tour with a band from your area,
Hmm.
it was like I wanna know if all of you guys are the same, 'cause I don't wanna generalize you, but I am right now. Last time I was on a tour, was with a bunch of people on a bunch of bands on my label, and, like, 3 days in, Lamb Goat started posting stuff like, all it listed all of our whoa, how do I go
You
back?
always do that.
I always
This
do that, dude. Ah,
yeah,
Lamb
back
Goat
on track.
posted yeah, Lamb Goat posted for anyone just listening, my camera zoomed in a lot.
Who wants to check out your haircut, dude?
It's just eyeballs and haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I
There we
love it.
go.
This is a live show, everybody. This is fun. This is fun.
It's right
So
on. Every week you zoom in once at least.
I know. It's insane. I gotta figure that out. I gotta shut that off. The cool mechanism. Hey, Joe, so we were on this tour and the band that was from your area, do I name them or not? Yeah, I'll just be brave. That band Leaders from your area we were on. So someone in that band, I actually really got to know them and I love them all. Shout out Laz and a bunch of people. I love all of you guys are really cool. But someone in that band started a tweet war with someone from A Plea for Purging, and it started go like and we were all on tour together, and it was like Lamb Goat was like following and reposting. I'm like, holy shit, yo, these northwestern dudes love the beef. Is that you guys, Joe? Do you guys love the beef too?
Uh, no. No, 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 no. We tend to walk away from any of that kind of stuff. At least when it comes to like band on band stuff. But when it comes to maybe social commentary, that might be a little bit different. But when we're on tour, those are your peers, and it doesn't matter, what the background is, the differences of opinion or whatever. You guys are both there to play music and have a good time. So
Love it.
um,
Be pro always. I love it.
try to be.
Be pro always. I think tour is still important. I know that now people are getting found more on the internet, which is great. But I still think seeing someone live is really important, seeing how many people come out for you, that energy. You don't get that just by listening to an album.
Yeah,
And also, you get to meet new people. Like Derek and I met on tour, and we are friends 15 years later doing this. So it's like you never know who you're going to meet that's going to change your life. You never know that one person who could just light up your whole life, like Derek lit up my whole life.
yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
No, that's honestly like that happened with us too. We became really good friends with the guys in a band called The Ongoing Concept, who are also on Solid State. Um, and they ended up two of those dudes, Dawson and Parker, their brothers, they ended up directing uh, the music video for First Light, and we stayed with them and just got off the phone with one of those guys also a couple days ago, um, and yeah, you just meet great people, and yeah, and I think honestly that's my favorite part of touring and also being in a band is you get to hear different artists' unique stories and whatnot.
Mm.
Sure. So why don't we take a little quick rundown of Lightworker? How'd you guys start? Where from? What was the original goal? And like just tell us about it a little bit.
Sure. So back, my old band had basically had broken up, and I had a leftover song idea, and I hit up a friend of mine, and his name is Nick. Shout out to Nick Lycano. He was kind of like the dude. This is back when like Joey Sturgis was like huge and was like proved that hey, you can record with just a shitty laptop and some pod plugins anybody can do it and make it sound halfway decent. And so he was like 19, and I was already probably like 23 or something like that. And but he was known just for being an incredible guitar player and being able to record bands and whatnot, and for a reasonable price. And so we forged a friendship because he recorded some of our stuff, my band's old stuff, and then I had this leftover song, and we just really clicked because he was willing to record that leftover song called Cholera, which is on our debut album that actually ended up getting on the radio, which was sick. And it was pretty full circle moment there. And but anyway, so he and I start the band. We go and record our debut EP with Josh Barber, and then after that, we started writing for our full length. That was all, we paid for it all out of pocket and whatnot. By then, Nick had left, but we still remained really close friends. But we worked with Daniel from Fit for a King slash Phineas.
Mhm.
And at that point, during the recording process, we kind of started to have some rough mixes. And I showed a dude in a band called now Teeth, but he was in a band called 100 Sons with Corey from Norma Jean. And so Corey let the A&R dude know, Adam from Solid State, like, hey, a buddy of mine that, I'm in a band with called 100 Sons is managing this band. And it was us. And we were just like, oh, crap. But because we wanted to have everything completely done. And luckily, we had the final mixes. We just had to get it mastered.
Okay.
So with final mixes, I feel like, okay, you get the idea, right? And and then, yeah, long story short, we signed in October of 2019, waiting to tour all of the United States, and then 2020 happened.
So between that, like, meetings, writing those songs, getting them recorded, all that stuff, how long was that process before the A&R and label started like getting in contact?
Uh, I think it's in true Lightworker fashion, everything kind of moves at a snail's pace for us. And
Okay.
so, the beginnings of the band, I would say, be like the very like early beginnings with that song Cholera and whatnot that I demoed out with Nick was 2013, but we had a full lineup in 20 by 2015, and then it took forever for the EP to actually come out, but that came out in, I think, 2017, and then 2 years later, yeah.
And you guys were playing shows and stuff between there when you had the full lineup, or is it more of just we're writing and
Yeah, we had a full lineup. We were playing shows, and whatnot. We actually got signed without touring, which was really like we were like, "Whoa, okay."
Yep.
Um, that was really flattering to us because we were just kinda like, "Okay, you're putting a lot of faith into this, band that hasn't," I think the furthest we had ever been was, like, Southern California.
Right.
And in our personal lives, most of us had been to the East Coast and whatnot, but we'd not playing music. So none of us, except for Grayson, our lead guitar player now, he was the only one. He was initially on bass. He's an original member, but he played bass. And but yeah, so we were just like playing shows and trying to you know, get a local following, and then all of a sudden we got signed, and we're just like, okay, I mean, I guess this is what we're doing now. So
Did the A&R, so like me and Andy were both in signed bands and things, and Andy, I don't know, did you run through A&R first or would you like direct to label?
I
Andy?
I had no, I was just thinking about it. I had a relationship with the owner already because I was playing in a band that was on that
Right.
label before, so
Gotcha.
it kind of helped.
Yeah. So I'd say like we weren't really A&R type either. And I don't know if it's just the way that it was when we were doing it, but like what was that kind of experience like? Was it more management type? Did it last a long time, or is it just like, oh, I heard you, I like what I'm hearing, oh, here's the deal?
Man, I just remember it was a lot of hurry up and wait. Um, and so there was definitely some back and forth. Um, but I think we wrapped it up within about a month, like kind of going back and forth. They wanted to, hear the full record, and once it was mastered, and et cetera, et cetera. And then just like, yeah, the whole legal process, obviously we had to get everything, they had to send it over, notarize and everything. So, um, but yeah, I would say that, yeah, about over the course of a month, it finally, yeah, happened. But, yeah, it was a smooth process though. And I just remember like, we just couldn't believe it was happening. We were just like, what
Yeah.
the hell? We even had a shot, like, we were, Grayson busted out, Johnny Walker Blue Label, so the, expensive stuff, and the notary guy came over, and he was like, "Oh, you're my last stop of the day," and then I just poured him a shot, and I was like, "Well, you should just drink with us," and he's all like, "Well, what's this for?" And then it was like, just signed to a label, he's like, "That's awesome," and then he just, like, drank the shot, and he was all like, "Good luck, guys," and just dipped.
That's great. It's so
Do
great.
you know? So you having been in a being in a label now, coming from not being in a label, things have changed drastically since Derek and I were on labels. I
Mhm.
feel like before, and I don't know how it is now. I would love your opinion, but before, if you were on X label, this Y label, it gave you a little bit more cred, like street cred, and it made people look at you more seriously. And from my point of view, since Derek and I have been managing, is that still might be the case, but it's not as much, because as long as you get on a good playlist, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, I would say that's a good question because, like, playlists started to really gain speed, I think, I think because of 2020, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, there were playlists before, but it wasn't and it I feel like it wasn't as emphasized back then. It was this weird, like, purgatory era where
Right.
we were
No
kinda like
touring, the playlist becomes king because
exactly.
no one can move.
Exactly, and so, and trying to get content I mean, like, Spirit Box dropped that one music video, and, I mean, in the middle of like, at the height of it, when nobody even knew what was going on, and,
Mhm.
it was just Courtney LaPlante in the middle of the field, and, it was just content, like, what can you put out? And, so it was we were just kinda watching as a small band, with a brand new album, and we're just kind of like, what the hell do we do? But I would say to answer your question, I think it definitely does give like, kind of like a nod. You're just kind of like, yeah, like it's because it's one thing because anybody can put a whole ton of money into marketing, you know, and that definitely does help. But I think once you have a label, especially one that has a reputation, that has been around for decades or is maybe hasn't been around for decades, but, has a great roster. I think it kind of is almost a rite of passage in a sense where it's like, okay, we at least know you're not going to be, like dog shit, I guess. But but now it's kind of crazy because now it to your point, Andy, it's kind of like, can you get on the right playlist? Also, how many monthly listeners do you have? Which,
Exactly.
which makes no sense to me because I've seen gone to shows where bands have 100K monthly listeners and there's 10 people there.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so interesting. Or the opposite as well is true. You could have a band that crushes live, and they're just not known as much. They don't have the money to have that reach yet on the internet, because you need to pump ads and all that shit. It's so.
once you learn how it all works, the kind of facade of it goes away.
Yeah,
Like it's not hard to fluff numbers, and all the reports that just came out about Spotify and the accusations of, I don't know if you've seen, with them creating their own artist and putting them on playlists to make
yeah,
money back for themselves, which
yeah. It's
is,
wild.
it's wild, but it makes sense, right? Like all
Yeah,
those SoFi playlists, like it's not hard to do. Make me a song over here, I'll pay you $100 for it, and I'll put it on the best SoFi playlist, and I'll recoup my money from you, and and then 100 times over
yeah,
and over and over again.
yeah. Or
It's
at this
shitty.
point, now it's like AI too. Like they can just
Yep.
say like, "Hey, can you just do this?" and boom. I think yeah, we're in a weird spot because it's no longer like actually I saw that there was a repress from a band that I really liked that was notorious in the 90s. I'm a huge early like the early stuff, but I'm a huge Goo Goo Dolls fan.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um they were doing like a I don't know, like 40th anniversary repress or something like that of their album called A Boy Named Goo. And I clicked on it to check it out because I don't have the album. And what was wild was that it didn't say like check out music from the Goo Goo Dolls. It said check out content
Hmm.
from the Goo Goo Dolls, and that's what it is now. Like, and even the guy from Spotify,
Oh yeah.
he doesn't call it music; he calls it content.
Yeah.
And so, and it's wild to me that our album's not even a year old yet, and I mean, there's so much music and with ads and stuff like that, and just like people have literally started marketing companies just by pumping ads for Spotify. It's crazy what's
Mhm.
going on now. Whereas when we were younger, like we actually had to tour, you had to grind, and then and that was your resume. You had to know every city that you went and played, and just and then hopefully a bigger band would be like, you know what, you guys have been putting down the groundwork, like come out with us.
Right. Networking through your own area or region or whatever, connecting with that band that can pull you out, and hopefully they're nice enough to help you out and throw you a bone.
Yeah. So
Solid State was, like I mentioned earlier, it was I I haven't listened to a lot of Solid State bands for a while, honestly. But at that time, it was like I found August Burns Red, Norma Jean, Me Without You, so many fucking epic bands from Solid State. Did that come into play when you guys got signed? You're like, I'm gonna be part of that alumni, or you're in that class of, you know?
dude, I still think about it at least once a week. To me, it's been a tremendous honor to even, I mean, Solid State for a while there in the, early 2000s to like basically all the 2000s, I would say. I mean, each band was like kind of taking the lead for the heavy music scene outside of what was going on in the Northeast. With that kind of metalcore style with Killswitch and stuff like that, and then Orange County. But I mean, you had Norma Jean that really brought that botch sound to the forefront. And they started getting played on Headbangers Ball, which is insane. And then you had I mean, just bands that He Is Legend, who was just like doing like this weird they were basically like just rock and roll with us like crazy gutturals and stuff like that. Then you had like the kind of like heavier, more indie band like As Cities Burn that, and to this day I feel like not really anybody sounds like, especially that first record by them.
I Love You at Your Darkest, dude. That album was insane.
That album saved my life, to be honest. That was one of the 2 albums that saved my fucking life.
Yeah.
And, you know, um, but they were just I mean, like, The Chariot, I mean, still adored to this day. Where, I mean, people every year that there's been a Furnace Fest, people are like, we got to figure out how to get them back together. You know,
Mhm.
Me Without You, like, just, I mean, that's tooth and nail, Solid State, and just it's just MXPX. You
Yeah.
know, it's insane. So for me, I just like, yeah, the fact that we've been able to release 2 albums on that label and just be even just a little blip just means the world to me because I grew up listening to that stuff too, and yeah, total dream come true.
That's awesome, man.
Incredible.
I love that. It's um I think it's really cool, and it's one of those things that no matter where you guys go or do, you have that. And I feel that having been there on, on the face down side, I really had that dream of being on face down, did it, toured and all that stuff. And I think if anyone has that dream to pursue music, you need to, because even if you don't get where you would have loved to be, no one really makes music unless you're, unless you're Taylor Swift or something. But
Right.
like, it's something you need to do. Like it's no matter what. You have to, because there's that, and now I have that feeling, and Derek can say the same now. No, I know Derek, you feel the same way, that when it's over, you at least could say I did it. At least I
Definitely.
tried, I love that you guys are still doing it, and you guys are, you're not spring chickens anymore, right? You're not in your 20s. It's like that's hard. How are you guys doing that?
Uh, Honestly, it's been a lot of sacrifice. I've let a lot of getting pretty serious here, but I've let a lot of things or in my life burn for the sake of music. Whether that meant me like spending my last dollar until I don't get paid for like 2 weeks for merch or something like that, to help get merch done, or living at home as long as I did, you know, or just neglecting potential relationships you know, uh, with my friends, family, or even romantic. I've let everything burn because I've had this vision in my head, and it's something that I think is always going to be there, and it's something that we're always going to pursue. I mean, with or without a label, I think Lightworker at this point is always going to be playing the music live and releasing new music. And I completely agree with what you said. Is just go for it, especially this day and age where you can record in your bedroom and whatnot. Like, I'm a dinosaur, so like that a lot of that stuff is very foreign to me. Luckily, Grayson's like awesome at figuring that stuff out. He just loves. I mean, well, he also has a bunch of gadgets and stuff at home. He's just like, oh, check out this little thing according to my calculations. Poindexter guy, but you know, um, but like for me, I just have an innate desire to for expression. I love a
Mhm.
lot of instrumental music too. Whether it's like the greats, Hans Zimmer, but I also love like a lot of post rock, and I really connect with the emotion. I'm definitely not as calculated, even though like a lot of our music is pretty technical. For me,
Right.
it really comes down to like the emotion, and I really slave over my lyrics and trying to make sure that I'm actually saying something. Like, I don't have a crazy platform. I have like maybe a little step, just that, where maybe I can reach some people, and I just take it seriously, you know. And yeah,
I think I mean you talked about the sacrifice, and that's something we talk about a lot on here, and just even between just me and Andy sometimes.
right.
You know, doing this for a living is very difficult. And that's kind of why we're doing this and showcasing and trying to showcase like that part of everybody else, fans, get to see the fun 45 minutes, right? And the rest of the days are, not to say that they're not fun, but it's grind, there's sacrifice, you're missing stuff. You're missing every weekend of your life basically doesn't exist because you're playing a show, you're doing something. So you're missing birthdays, you're missing weddings, you're missing funerals, sometimes you're missing a lot of that stuff. Does that circle into your lyrics, or is that just something that kind of keeps you burning in going forward, or both?
That's a great question. I will say that I think particularly, and no offense to them, but my family doesn't really understand this
Mm-hmm.
kind of flame that I have.
It's
to-
hard to understand. It is a weird thing as an as an outsider, looking in.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
guys are only getting paid $100 for the whole band?
Real quick sidebar on that. What I find crazy is that bands were getting paid out $100 per show back when, like 15 years ago, and that guarantee still has not changed, and inflation has gone up the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck is going on? It's
It is.
insane how much we played actually and a show, and it was sold out, and we sold a ton of merch, and then of course venue guy comes along. We ended up paying $6 to play, even though
After
we
your
had
merch
made.
cuts and all that shit. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's insane, and it's funny because that the venue that we played with is a legendary venue, and it's just kind of like, dude, I mean, how many people did we bring out where they were buying drinks and stuff like that, and it was just, it's
Definitely.
wild.
The older the venue, the more tricks they know.
Oh yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, I think I think they respect it a little bit more now. I will say that I don't know. I mean, as far as it finding its way into my lyrics, not as much. Um, I think I kind of know what I signed up for personally, and I think there's, and I'm not trying to, like, no disrespect to anybody who has written lyrics about it, but I just feel like, especially on this past record, I try to address, I guess, things that I felt personally were a bit more critical.
Mm-hmm.
Things that about myself that I've actually never talked about publicly. For whatever reason, I decided to put it into a song. But lyrically, I mean, especially with growing up with artists that were not only heavy musically but lyrically, like As Cities Burn, and a lot of solid state bands and whatnot. I feel like it's my, you know, I don't know. It's a form of expression, and I feel like it's my responsibility to talk about a lot of those things. So on the new record, there's songs that talk about, First Light is about me wanting to take my own life. And I literally wrote those lyrics like the day that I wanted to take my own life. And that I really credit that creative outlet to that, that helped save my life. But honestly, one of the songs called Unmaker is about domestic abuse, domestic violence, and for just everybody in the family just getting, just it's heavy stuff. And I feel like a lot of people talk about mental health, but that was a subject that I feel like doesn't really get brought up a whole ton,
Mm-hmm.
like specifically. um and then there were songs that also talk about like our current social climate. And I just feel like, even though when I am on the road, and now that I'm older, it does wear on me more than when I was, in my 20s. But I'm just kind of like, that's just my own battle. I know what I signed up for, you know.
Right.
But lyrically, I'm like, I really gotta talk about, I think, things that uh, just I don't know. I I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we're not a Christian band, like by any means, but I definitely pray about the lyrics every time before we, start writing. And my prayer to God might be a little bit more unconventional, but it's something like this. I'll just reveal it to you guys. I'm like, God, please help me not fuck this up. Please help this be like something that's fucking real and from my heart. And amen. That's literally how I pray, even in my head,
Yeah.
and hopefully somebody takes something from it.
Yeah, clearly somebody is. I mean, you guys have done some stuff, right? Like take that step back and like realize like what you've accomplished and what you're doing, because that's another hard part of this life, or that life that we used to do, and you're in heavy. Like step back and realize that you're one of, I don't know, a couple hundred bands doing it to that
Right,
level,
right.
traveling and getting in front of people and spreading your message and your art. I think that's really cool. Not to like stay on the deep stuff, but
No,
like
no.
obviously, like you use this as a therapy in a way, and everybody we've spoken to, like you're definitely not alone in it, because everyone we've spoken to has something, whether it's domestic abuse, whether it's mental health, whether it's depression, all across the board, and everybody doing this and being in a band and doing this art says that it has saved them at some point, um, which is great. That being said, now that you guys are, on, I don't want to say like you're on towards the end, but like you're a little older, is that something that potentially like worries you if the band stops? I mean, obviously you can always have your outlet of writing, which is
Right.
great. I mean, that's like the best part, that it's something that can go on forever. Um, but the sacrifice you made and you've put into this band, and like, how does it make you nervous that that you're a little older now, and like what's next? What's the next chapter?
Do you think about just dying all the time?
That's not what I
Well,
mean. Not dying.
I mean,
Yeah, I'll tell you that.
I do listen to a lot of Father John Misty. So, his a lot of his lyrics are about like, yeah, we're all fucked and all that stuff. So, um, I mean, yeah, to be honest with you, I do think about that stuff. I do think about, like Grayson just got married, um, he's my partner in crime, so to speak. We're all older, and honestly, yeah, my life is about halfway done, at this point. So I'm just kind of like, I'm like, okay. I mean, I would say this. I think Lightworker, I think, is always going to exist as long as Grayson and I are having fun.
Hmm.
And I don't see it like slowing down from what we've already been doing. Like, I think um I think, the aim is always going to be to release new material as often as we possibly can,
Hmm.
and I think we want to tour a little bit smarter too, you know, um, and I think I'll know when it's like, hey, maybe we gotta scale it back to where it's like, hey, we only tour like a week out of the year,
Hmm.
and that's like the week where it's just like, oh, this is basically guys week out, I guess, and
Yeah.
just like have fun and whatnot, and hopefully people come out and whatnot. But um, yeah, I would say, but there are different things that I want to work on. There are different aspirations that I do have, but as far as like the band goes, I mean, I've already have pages of lyrics written. Um, we have some riffs, rolling around and whatnot, and yeah, we're not going anywhere. Not
Good.
not at
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
glad.
That's great to hear. Do you guys want to always be on a label, or do you foresee eventually being on your own whenever your solid state journey is over?
I think I would love solid state straight. Solid state has definitely treated us amazingly. Um, I would like my to try my hand at being independent.
Mhm.
I think they've given us a really good platform, and and we've accomplished things that, again, like to even have 2 albums as a part of their historical, like, discography is insane.
Mhm.
Um, but I would definitely like to try my hand at, uh, seeing what we can do, because this day and age, I think, labels definitely have their place, although it's shifted even since maybe, your guys' prior bands, and so I'd be curious to see what we can accomplish. However, if when our contract is up, we might try to find greener pastures.
Mhm.
That sounded bad, but but you know what I mean. It was just like
No,
I just want to try something else.
no, I think the question is valid. I think the answer is valid because I think, not everyone gets the experience of working with the label. And I think it's a good platform to get your band to say, hey, I did this. I was on a label, I toured and all that stuff. And it afforded me the life that I could do that. And now I think we're at a point where the name of the band speaks for itself and it doesn't just need the solid state stamp.
And that's kind of what I think. And I think if I mean, like, you even got bands like Convictions right now. They're like a metalcore band from Ohio. I mean, they don't have a label, but they have solid management and booking agent. And I mean, they sell out of all the physical copies that they press on their own and whatnot. And I'm just kind of like, hey, that would be kind of cool to do. Because you get to actually calculate exactly what I mean. I collect vinyl. I have over 1,000 copies. Oh, not copies, but I have over 1,000 records myself. And like, my favorite records are the ones where, like, the packaging, you can tell that the artists really had a hand in it.
Hmm.
And I would really like to just, like, help be a part of, like, the packaging and just trying to think outside of the box. Because that's the other thing too, is that physical media is so niche now for I mean, even for movies, like, people, I mean, I just saw that Sony just mentioned that they're gonna stop making Blu-rays and 4K discs. And
Wild.
yeah, and to me, I'm just like, as a vinyl collector and knowing the kind of folks that do like to collect vinyl and whatnot, the packaging, whether it comes with extra liner notes or like cool stories about each song, or just whatever bonus stuff, I'd love to get in there and just have, um, you know, just, I guess, unlimited possibilities. And like I said, Solid State's been great to us. I mean, our newest album is on vinyl, and one of those variants, like, look, is like the one of the I mean, I know it's my own band, but it's like it's actually one of the coolest looking variants I've ever seen. I was just like, "Whoa, this is rad." And sorry, that was a really winded way of saying, like, I think when the time comes, I think we're gonna be, we're definitely gonna try our hand at being independent for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, it's great. It's like a difficult but a little potentially more fulfilling situation if you can stay on top of your stuff, right? I mean, that's the part that's the hardest without the help and label is keeping on track, keeping on I don't want to say a schedule, because you're not going to have a schedule for yourself to like write music.
Right.
Typically, I mean, nothing pressing anyways.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I mean, doing stuff like that, like, I haven't been able to do it, but like the way I'd love to see musicians release stuff like almost like video game releases do, where they have like a book. It's like, you know, the book about the band or whatever, with the album cover and the stories from lyrics inside. That's a pre-order more so than getting a CD with it. You get a package of stuff, like cool stuff
Yeah,
like
like how do you get a bit? How do you get people to really believe and buy into what you have going on? It's like you have to do more than just music now.
Yeah.
It doesn't cut it to just play music.
No, and that's the thing is that, like, there's no mystery now. Like, I remember, like, talking to, a friend of mine where we were just like, back in the day, records were all that there was, and if the album didn't come with a photo of the band, you didn't know what they looked like unless if you went and saw them live.
that.
And and I think that definitely added to the mystery in the lore about, music, and there was a kind of magic, but now it's like, you just take your phone and you're just kind of like, oh, see everything. And I don't think you everybody needs to know exactly what the hell it is that I'm doing at, like 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, like, and for me, considering our band is still, a blue collar band, I mean, I'm working,
Hmm.
and
Not to
I
burst your bubble, but they're all working.
Yeah,
yeah,
everyone
Everybody's
has.
working.
exactly. Exactly. Like, you've got to get to a point where, yeah, exactly. And it's just a different kind of work,
Yeah.
right? And it's just and it's a consistent hustle and grind, and it just looks different at the level that we're at. And I'd like to get to that next level, but at the same time, I think at the end of the day, my friendship with the guys in Lightworker just means the most to me. That's all I really give a damn about. Because when you're in a van smelling each other's farts and morning breath and all that stuff, like, and all those memories, and I mean, those are the nights that I'm going to remember, and
Absolutely.
and that's honestly, I think that's the main reason why I do this, aside from the expression aspect of it lyrically, is because I want to spend time with my friends.
Right. With your people.
Yep.
Why
Um,
is it so hard for bands to stay together? Not even I'm not talking about breaking up. Why is it so hard for a lineup to stay together?
I think a lot of people I think a lot of people take that kind of American dream thing kind of seriously. I mean, I remember when Beloved broke up the first time, and then after a few years later, like a year or two later, Joe comes back with Advent.
Right.
And then everybody was like, "You said you left Beloved because you got married and whatnot, and now you're back a year and a half, 2 years later with Advent." And he was like, "I realized that life doesn't stop at 27, or whatever it was. Like, like I can still balance all this stuff." And I think a lot of folks, for us personally, we've never had anybody leave on bad terms except for one person. And and even then, like, looking back on it, I'm just kind of like, it just wasn't a match. He's not a bad dude. He's not, like, it just wasn't, that dude needed to be in his own band, and do his own thing.
mhm.
And for us, I mean, you know, most of those guys are, I mean, like I said, I mentioned Nick at the beginning. Um, I talk to him at least once a week. We're still really close. And you know, I think life gets in the way, and especially us being like as old as we are, making us sound like dinosaurs. But I think every person. I'm trying to think real quick. Pretty much every person left because they started to have kids.
Mhm. It's tough. I mean, that's a tough. I have 2 kids myself. Not I didn't while I was in the band, but I wouldn't. That's why I don't play in bands right now.
Yeah,
Because I said, like, if I join a band, even if it's for fun and like we're just gonna jam or whatever, like that would last for like a month and a half, and I'd be like, all right, like let's make a record, let's let's try to tour. Like
yeah,
it's just like ingrained, and I know how to do it better now. Also, like
right.
I would know at least I could probably skip a bunch of steps now because of the people I know and just the process. Like it's not I've failed enough to like figure out which what direction to go in. So like, if I do that, I'm getting divorced. I'm probably never seeing my kids again. Uh and it's just not, and now that I'm here, like there's no chance that I would ever do that.
Right.
Um but I get it. I can't imagine touring with children. Um, I travel a decent amount, but like for weekends and that's tough when it's not me staying up till 4 in the morning and loading gear and all that shit.
Yeah. No, totally. And that's the thing. And then there's nothing wrong with that either. And then there's folks that I know that they figure it out.
Of course.
It, and everybody it's different for everybody. And I personally don't plan on having any kids.
Hmm.
So, but at the same time, like I also know, you know, like touring is rough, man. It's rough, and especially like this last tour, the last tour that we did. Um, I mean, I ended up driving all the way from the East Coast back to the West Coast by myself while still working full time. And yeah, because yeah, it was insane. And so like I every like stop, I was like checking my laptop, trying to like at a gas station, but also still and still trying to make good time, to get back home.
Right.
And it's grueling, but it's kind of crazy because I get back for like 3 months and I'm just kind of like 2, 3 months and I'm like, okay, I'd love to go back out there again. I don't know why.
Every
Yes.
time. Every
Yeah,
time.
but that's the thing, like, not every I think that is rare, especially as you get older, wanting like, for me, of course, I reminisce of those times, I love those are the best times ever. You couldn't find me in a van again, you would not. I don't care, like, it was the best time, but, like, I'm at that point where I need some comfort. I'm a kept man now,
I
and
mean, look at your haircut.
I've kept myself. I really have to keep myself cute. You know what I mean? But for real though, like there are needs, and it's like also you live in an relatively expensive state, and it's not easy. So it's like who's gonna go in a van tour? You're not gonna make money. Like even if you do well, you said like you got like I know the days that you crush, and then it goes to the venue, it goes to your manager, it goes to
Yeah.
labels. Like it's hard, and I maybe we're making this whole thing sound bad because it is, but it's also the best ever. It also is like you
Dude,
you need to do it.
let me, there's nothing better than turning around as soon as like you finish a set completely out of breath and sweaty, and you just look at your bro and and you smile and you're like, that that's that shit right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
And and I think it's almost kind of like a drug that, in a way, at least for me, where it's like, what what can I do to I don't know. It's wild for me. And but also at the same time, I get mistaken for an extrovert a lot. but I'm a hardcore ambivert, so I'm both. I'm extroverted and introverted, but I really need time to recharge, and it's really, really hard to recharge on the road.
Yeah, in a little tin can. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get your space, and I mean, but like you said, it's the best worst thing that you touring is like that you'll ever do. It's
Yeah,
the absolute
yeah.
best.
I mean, and even like dudes in bands like Killswitch Engage or Spirit Box, like,
Mhm.
they've got a full bus and whatnot. But I think I remember reading an interview with Jesse from Killswitch, and he was just like, we toured so much one year, he said, where when I got home for like a week or two, I couldn't sleep in my own bed because I was just so used to the rocking back and forth of like, it kind of rocks you to sleep, the
Yeah.
vehicle. And I mean, that's what will never happen for me. But but
Well, don't say that. Put
Yeah,
it
never
out
say
there, man.
never. You never know.
You gotta manifest greatness, bro. But also,
oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
listen, I believe in you, man. You have a great talent. You have a great voice, man. Keep manifesting, put it out there. You got this shit, bro.
Thank
Um,
you.
but also, I know those. I mean, even if you're in a van, you're still sleeping in either your van or a fan's floor. Like, how many floors do we sleep in, Derek? Like,
Oh
just
yeah,
on, or
freezing cold showers, parking lots. I slept in a few times just
yeah.
outside.
How many Walmart parking lots do we crash in? But then you get home and you forget where the fuck you are. You're like, oh shit, this is my home. Like, it's so bizarre. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it's funny because you have all the time in the world, but I don't know if you guys went, felt this way. You have all the time in the world, but you feel like you have no time. Also, like
Definitely.
because I'm so like exhausted, and it's just like I get to a point where like getting back to people, like they're messaging you and stuff, and it's just like, well, I've been busy, driving, or I've been busy sleeping, trying to get as much sleep as I can in the van, and it's like, and it's pretty wild. But again, like, and I think that's part of the reason why when you go out on tour, it just being friends with the bands that you're out with is so important
Mhm.
because they are the only ones that you're around every day aside from your bandmates that know like what you're going through.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think and that was kind of the cool thing with it, especially like we've been we've been cool with every band that we've gone out with. Um and but the ongoing concept guys, it was just we're about the same age, you know. They've been doing it for a while. We love their music, and but they've really like there was this camaraderie. Was there ever like a band that you guys like with
I
your
mean, for me, it was Andy's band.
Same.
I mean, like I'm, probably I still am close with some of the guys from my band. Like, well, if I bump into the others, like it's great. It's awesome to see everybody. But like I'm definitely closest with Andy
Mhm.
out of both of those groups. And that just I don't know what like why or what it was. Like we would on tour, like we'd swap vans, like members, and like drive with the other band just to like change it up sometimes. And we kind of hit it off. We hung out a little bit after we toured, and there was a little period in there where we kind of like estranged a little bit.
Mhm.
And then we both kind of came back together with like managing a couple bands and like getting, kind of getting back into like for me, I took some time off, just had kids, wife, the whole thing, kind of stepped away and then I just needed to be involved again.
Yep.
I just like these are my people. Like you guys, anyone who's done this before, like you said, like you just understand what it is and what you go through and how hard it is and everybody kind of has the same mindset and needs that outlet in some fashion. um but yeah, I mean, I think like you said, all bands are fun to meet even if it's just one time.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's enough. But it's cool to see different perspectives and the different things. You learn a lot from watching other bands do their thing, and it's super helpful. That's kind of my outlook of tour and connecting with
Yeah, and
others.
you never know like who you're gonna be in a band with after. Like I ended up being in a band with like a bunch of other people. Like there, we went on tour with this band called Life Is a Ghost back in the day. They were like formerly Bella Kiss, and then I was in a band with their guitarist Nick, and then actually in that same band was a former Bella Kiss member. So it's like you never know who you're going to meet and mesh with musically and make really cool fucking music with. And that's why I think it's important to keep talking to people that you're on the road with, because you could do cool projects together. I think it's important to not just like stick in your little bubble, your little comfort zone, but like branch out and make projects with other people. You know, I think that's really fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think like because there's I have like a couple of riffs myself that I'm like I don't want to sing over this, but I know somebody else who would sound great, and he happens to be my bud. And if I ever get that going, that'd be awesome. And but yeah, I mean, and it's crazy. Like music has made it so like Grayson used to be in a band with a dude who's now the drummer for Nothing More. Um, an ex-band member that was in this band was in Fallujah, and also and what are they called? He toured with Die Art Is Murder,
Yep.
like a bunch of death metal stuff. And you know, um, our old guitar player Nick, I mean, he was in the studio with David Bendeth, who's done like Breaking Benjamin, Paramore. The guy who drummed on our EP, because it was just me and Nick in the beginning, was actually the dude that drummed for Mailing and the Sons of Disaster. He also filled in for Paramore for a while, and and his drumming is on our debut EP randomly,
Mhm.
and and just from like, I mean, me being a fan of letters, like here I am talking to Andy, like, and
Sick.
yeah, it's
The
just wild.
pleasure we all get to enjoy.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing, and like, and yeah, I mean, for a long time, I mean, I was very passionate about just a lot of the face down bands, and I felt like, like Letter to the Exiles, like I feel like, man, I was just like, I feel like you guys, man, if you guys were like doing stuff right now, it'd be like perfect because everybody loves like counterparts and all that stuff. And I'm just kind of like, oh man. And I just go back and I listen to Make Amends, and I'm just like, this album is so fucking good.
Thank
It's
you.
so good. And I
Thank
And
you.
love,
I think we could both be really cool right now if we were like 25. Like our music is back. Like metalcore is like really back, and you were a little more hardcore. But I mean, this is our time. Our timing was just off.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My parents should have fucked a lot later. So,
Well, actually, me, James, and Mark are working on another project with like leftover Letter to the Exiles songs that
oh, okay.
so we're doing we have something in the oven cooking.
Dude,
No,
because I love Mark's voice because he was a breath of fresh air back in the day. Because that was like during the neon era, I call it, of metalcore, where like and Reptar shirts, like
yes, yeah,
and so everybody would have like listen sounded like hi, like when they sang and but Mark, like he sounded like he had balls, dude. Like that guy has I was like, that guy has a fucking hairy pair for sure.
yes, yeah, yeah, and he actually is fully vested in this project and sings a lot, so I'm really excited about that. We have no ideas of grandeur, and we do not want to tour, so we're just it's just a passion project that we're working on. And I'm attempting to do some vocals, so some screaming, so I'll be chatting with you. Listen, give me some tips. Give me a little scream right now. Show me what you got. Give me a little like
Wow.
tap
Right on the spot.
let me
Do it.
tell let me tell you
Do it.
something. Yeah, how do you, because like I am obviously a drummer, and but I like to practice, just yelling. But I like poetry. I like lyrics, so I also write. Now
Yep.
mixing the writing, I know rhythm, the tone, working on that. It's to have to keep that breath, to keep your voice strong. How do you do it?
Okay, so this is a little bit of a backstory. I screamed the way that you shouldn't have at all up until we recorded our first record, like the improper way. So, um, and on top of that, there was like a handful of years where I didn't scream at all, and I lost my highs completely. So I could only do like the guttural stuff, and I'm just like, this sucks because my favorite, like I tend to like highs and mids a lot more. And for me, we were writing, our EP. If you go back and listen to it, it's definitely, we were trying to do kind of a little bit more of a, not exactly like it, but just kind of like a Woven More kind of thing. I don't know if you guys are
Yeah, yeah,
familiar.
yeah, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
After
So,
the Dying band with the singer of
oh,
that
sleep.
other Sleeper, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The guitarist, like singer of Oh Sleeper, and so and that project was like 90% singing, but it was still like heavy,
Yeah.
and because my highs were gone, and also the way I did my lows were just not proper, and so um, and then we started writing for Fury by Failure, our first record, and Grayson's like, dude, you're gonna have to scream, you're just gonna have to, and I just kind of taught myself a new technique, and I was able to do highs again, and and then I perfected it. And so on the second record, I remember like reading the comments when First Light dropped, which was the first single for How the Beautiful Decay.
Big
People were
mistake. Big mistake. Never read comments.
like, "Oh." Luckily, they were very positive because they were just kind of like, his screaming got crazy good, and I was just like, "Thank you," like because I had worked on it so much, and
That's awesome.
so I don't do the loud scream anymore. Like my screaming is just as loud as my singing now. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think people call it like the fry technique or whatever. So and and it was kind of cool because it also made my scream sound a lot less kind of like emery and more like almost like just like very metal. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, you guys have heard it. So
Yep.
so I was just kind of like, okay, that's sick. And
Hold on, wait. What is the fry method?
fry method is just like I don't even know how to describe it, bro. Like it just I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. I'm just kind of like getting put on the spot, and
Well,
plus I
it's just us. Hold on, it's just us in a room.
uh-huh.
Literally just like
But and then so I basically just kind of like push the air from my diaphragm, and I use my throat a little to kind of for the higher ones, and then I kind of just I don't know, I just don't go for like you know loud like like or whatever that is. But now I just try to go for technique. I want it to sound good because all the volume will be picked up on a mic, you
what
know,
what
and
is
it
the technique though? What is the tech? How do you what do you use?
You're gonna have to give Andy a lesson next
Yeah,
week.
just
oh god.
do a quick lesson right now is the time.
Oh man, I don't know if I could. To be honest with you, I haven't screamed since the holidays.
The
Andy, leave
people
the guy
want to know.
alone.
What's
What?
that?
I said, leave the guy alone, Andy.
No, the people want to know. The people want to know.
I'll I'll hit you up and I'll show you. But but
Now,
no, it's wild. But I mean, I do the Melissa Cross warm ups.
Ryan, Melissa Cross.
Yes, and then also recording. Want to know what actually? It was really funny. Like we discovered this. We were tracking the screams. We always do that, which is funny because fun fact, I only blew out my voice one time during the recording of our second record, and it was because of the vocals on that song on Maker, and it was not the screaming, it was the really raspy singing
Mm-hmm.
on that first verse, and that totally blew out my voice.
Crashed it. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it hard to do both? Because I think most people do one or the other, but you're singing and screaming.
Yeah, I would say when I'm not fucking running around on stage and whatnot, like it's easy to do both. Like it's not hard, but when I'm on tour, dude, it's brutal. It just yeah. I'm sure like the vocalist Chris, right, from Letters, like, or both the vocalists of your bands. I mean, I'm sure they were just kind of like, crap, I gotta rest or drink water.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it
it's
was.
actually right after the show, you just shut up. You have to. You can't talk like for an hour after the show.
Yeah, and
Yes.
ours would go, warm up for a half an hour before, no beer before, keep everything, locked in. He was very regimented. Shout out JJ Long.
Dude,
Also
JJ
a
was
great
a
screamer and
beast.
singer.
JJ was so good, man. Oh my god. Also, I saw JJ in a lot of ways that most people have not. Because
I
we
wonder
stayed
what that means.
I'll say this without getting too graphic. We stayed in a lot of places. We went to a lot of parties on that tour, and sometimes I'd walk in and JJ was just having a good time.
Yeah, I think the best way to say it would be like JJ got us a lot of places to sleep during
Yes,
tour.
a lot. He had a lot of. He was very attractive. A lot of people, a lot of females liked him. I'll say that.
It's
Yeah.
funny because that's that I would say our drummer up until recently, Ryan, he's like token attractive dude. Same with Grayson. Ladies love Grayson, but Grayson also like was engaged and whatnot. Now he's married, so like he's just kind of like he's. It was cool to see like how much he changed. Like, cause I've known the kid forever, and then like and then once he was like, you know what, this is the girl I'm with, and this is who I'm in love with, and then he was like, I'm just gonna kick it with the boys.
It's great.
It's awesome.
Good
And
for him.
then
Because that
and
adds a
then
lot of fucking trouble.
oh yeah, and then with Ryan, he just was Ryan's just a goofball. I mean, it's funny, like I'd be like, I mean, like he would be like, yeah, I have these dating apps back when he was single, and then I'd be like, let me see your bio, like show me, and I would just check it out, and he had like 20 DMs from like chicks that he just had not responded to at all, and I was just like, you didn't respond to any of these? I was like, I'm lucky if I get a match. And it was all like, yeah, I'm skateboarding. Like that's just the way he is, and so,
Awesome.
but
It's good to have like that token hot Brad Pitt guy in the band. It helps if you have that.
oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. It was great when it came to like meeting other bands because he would just be chill and he'd like go off skateboarding. And of course, one dude, of course, is always or just one person band's always gonna, dig that. And they're gonna be like, hey, can I, skate too while we're, in between sound check and the show. And so he would, I mean, both those dudes just they're it's funny, they're very just approachable people. But, but you wouldn't know it because like usually they're just like hanging out, just drinking beers and just being like Beavis and Butthead, like, but just such a great time. But but yeah, I don't think we've ever had like a dude in the band though that was like you're describing JJ. So usually I think if there was that guy, minus the attractive part, would be me because I'm just a loudmouth. So I just go up to people and I'll just like talk to them, be like, "What's up, dude?" And then they'll just be like, "Who are you?"
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's always fun meeting people at shows and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess let me run through a couple fun questions for you, touring
Sure.
related. Worst driver in the band? Because there's always one guy who you can't sleep while they're driving.
Oh yeah, I mean, the other guys would probably would have said me, but since I made it from the East Coast to the West Coast by myself, they ain't got shit on me. So
Okay, so you're the worst driver. Got it.
Yep. Noted.
probably.
Who's the early morning wake up and slam all the doors guy?
Ooh. This was probably just him in general, but that would be Ryan for sure. Like that dude is just he got better, but yeah, definitely Ryan.
Just no remorse for anybody sleeping. I'm up gonna do my shit.
Yeah.
Who was that for you guys? It's because it had to be. Everyone has one.
Well, you know,
James.
I was the most of the time driver because I enjoyed
Same.
it, and I also have like I don't know, maybe it's control issues. I don't know, you know, like I like to be in control. I trust myself, right? But I think maybe and Chris did it the least, but when he did do it, I was scared shitless. I was scared, terrified.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a show. There's two stories I will tell currently, and I think you'll enjoy them, Joe and Derek. One time, Mark was driving. I did it again. I don't.
It's because you do. It's this move. You do like the Hey Brother sketch hand signal, and it zooms you in.
Am I going out now? Um. I will say this. So one time we're driving home on the Long Island Expressway. Mark is driving, right? And the brakes give out. The brakes give out, and we have no brakes. We're on an expressway. What do? I yank him in the back, and I jump in the front. Full fucking. I felt like I was in Mission Impossible, bro. Dun, 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 dun. Yank him out. Dun. I saved the fucking. I drove all the way to Mark's house with no brakes. I don't know how. Dude, the whole way. The whole way. I'll give myself some kudos, okay? I will, because I did. That's a fact.
Impressive.
Another time, we're in Arizona on some fucking crazy mountain. I did something. I fucked up. We are listening to awesome Disney tunes, and I think I put the. I was so excited about like it was like Hercules. Let's get back to business. No, was that Mulan? That might be
That's Mulan.
Yeah, it was Mulan, dude. We loved Mulan in the van. So we're driving down this fucking mountain. I accidentally put the van in park, and I shut the whole thing off. And the steel and this mountain was like a curving. You know those mountains on tour where you're just like you could die easily. There's no guard. The wheel wasn't turning, and dude. So anyway, I ended up like turning it on after. You know what? It was like the music dead stopped, and I was like, guys. I had no control over the van. No one said anything, and it felt like an eternity. It was just silence, and I think we all just accepted our death. We accepted our fate in that moment, and it was fucking. But it was incredible because then I started the van again mid drive, and then again just saved our lives. It was insane. So I would say, I trust myself.
Capable.
I don't trust Chris. Mark wasn't bad, but he drove really heavy footed. He has what do you call it? Hobbit feet. He's a little guy with the big feet.
Oh. See, so on the past tour that we did, Grayson doesn't know this, nor does Ryan. So I exit. I didn't realize that, and it was a freeway. I didn't realize it was like just. I thought I was turning into like the other part of the freeway going that way, but it turns out it was all just one way. And then and so we're going, and then and then the bass player is like, Joe, like, and I was like, fuck, and you could see like cars just coming right at us. What? And I was just like, oh shit. And then I just looked over to my right real quick, and I saw that like because there was no like center divide or anything like that. It was just you could just kind of go. So I just like quickly just went over to the next side and then just exited out and straightened myself out. But it was so scary. Luckily, it was at like 10 at night, so it wasn't super busy.
Yeah.
But we definitely got a handful of honks like at us, like while that was
Dude, that's a close call,
Yeah.
man.
That's a
yeah
scary one.
That's a
that
scary one.
that one, and then the guitarist that was filling in for us, he almost in Texas, like I was like right next to it, and I like next to like this freaking huge ass like truck, just like he just kept going next to it. It was just like we were just like inches away, and I'm like, dude, go, like you need to get away. And he was like, it's fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude.
That's the worst. It's the worst, like if you're sleeping and then like someone slams on the brakes or like a hard jerk of the wheel, and you're like, "What the fuck? Like, what are what are we doing? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, are you good? Like, are we okay?" That's
That's
Yeah.
why
crazy.
I was always the
Um,
nighttime guy.
It's
For
also
some reason.
awful if you're in the middle of a desert and you have to shit and there's no bathroom in sight.
ooh.
Have you had that, Joe?
No, shitting has always been comfortable so far. So,
Wow.
I
That-
mean, we've actually, I think one of the things that about being an older band, like in terms of like the dudes, we're more responsible. So we're just like, okay, if the next venue is 4 hours away, that means it's 5 hours away since we have a trailer.
Mhm.
So that means that we need to leave like at least 5.5 hours early. So we always calculated it, and whenever we did get a place to stay, we would try to be the most like I think that first tour that we did that was longer than just like a weekend warrior thing or even a week. Um, it was a lot of growing pains. A lot of the dudes were like, "Oh, it's gonna be a blast," and it is a blast. But and then you realize, like, I remember, I don't know who it was, but one of the two dudes, I know it wasn't me or Grayson because we were the last ones to uh, like go out back to the van and get something out of it. But one of the guys, because we both went in first, we were crashing at Grayson's cousin's place. I went back out and the door was wide open. And I'm like, you guys, if we would have been at a hotel, like, because they were just so tired, they just wanted to, get a bed and go to sleep. And I was like, if we would have been at a hotel, like in the middle of like Albuquerque, super, the place is sketch.
Mhm.
Like, no offense, Albuquerque, we love you, but, but like, we would have. I mean, all our shit would have been gone.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, and we had to have like a, I mean, it wasn't like a difficult conversation, but we had to talk about it and say like, yo, like before you crash out, you got to make sure that like everything's locked up because it's all our gear gone. Thousands and thousands of dollars of gear gone.
Oof.
Yeah, it's hard enough when people just come and cut and take your shit. Never mind leaving the door open for them.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, and especially with a light, just like it just like it's like, oh, just
Derek was an impeccable driver. Seriously, legitimately. Because I rode with them on tour as well,
okay.
and I loved when Derek drove. He would just sit there calm, just chill, and he had a Monster and a can of Pringles,
Yep,
and
that was my.
he
That's
would
how I
just
gained
drive all
15
fucking night.
pounds.
Yeah,
But that's how I drove.
you could,
Headphones, Pringles, Monsters. That's it. And I just
you did.
go try out every kind of Pringles there that exists.
Just think about it.
Just different flavors. There's so many flavors all over every state has a different flavor pretty much.
I would say our best driver was actually our drummer Ryan. He was just like he just knew what he wanted to do, what would make him feel comfortable. He would
Mhm.
just kind of like you, Derek, just would kind of like, I guess, dig in, be prepared, and then he would just go. And he was just safe. Every time he drove, everybody would nap.
Yeah, well that's it, right? Most of the time when you're driving it's overnight, like you're really in a rush per se, right? So like you don't need to do 70, 80. Like you just find a nice cruise and just go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but there's sometimes like I love driving at night, but there were a few times where I'm like, I don't know if I could do this, and
Oh,
that's why we always have. I don't know if you guys have this, Joe. Do you have the co-pilot rule? You have to
Yep.
have a co-pilot, and they have to be awake the whole fucking time.
Yep.
One time though, well, there was one night we were so fucking tired. I think we just played some sick fucking show with Kubla Khan and Gideon in some southern state, and it was fucking bananas. We were exhausted, and the rest of the band was asleep. Me and James, our bass player, in the front, and we're the Nighthawks. That's what we call them. Nighthawk. Let's go. So we're driving and Nighthawking it, fucking Nighthawking it. 1 hour, and I was like, dude, I don't think I'm gonna last. Would you be okay if I just pull over? He's like, I don't think I can last either. And we were just gonna take a quick little snooze, a little baby snooze. Dude,
Yeah.
we slept until till like almost the afternoon, and the guys woke up thinking that we made it to the venue. We're like, oh, you guys drove all the way to the next state, the next venue? We're like, oh shit, sorry guys. The Nighthawks failed.
That's yeah, we had that co-pilot rule, and it was just like, hey, fuck it. If we're late, we're late. You know what I mean? Like it, I mean, and so, but we had the co-pilot rule, and then you just check with each other. I honestly think that's the best thing that you can do. I mean, and then because I mean, bringing it back like your guys' last episode with Jesse, I mean, it just goes to show the importance of trying to be alert, but sometimes things are out of your hands, you
Mhm.
know. And but we as much fun as tour is, it's just like um really those moments going on stage, and then like the rest of the evening after you play, talking to people and whatnot. I mean, that's the highlight, you know,
Every time, of
every
course.
every single time. And just you know, I one of the advantages actually to getting signed and then being announced during the height of COVID was that the past few summers that we've gone out on tour, I made a lot of friends online because, during the height of COVID, because I mean, I couldn't see my regular friends. So, I mean, you just talked a lot on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And, a lot of folks would join groups and just talk. And I've been able to meet a lot of friends in person for the very first time.
Yeah.
And
Traveling
that, dude, that's honestly one of the most rewarding things. It kind of gives you a little gas in the tank also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, and another thing that I really loved, did you guys ever run into like other bands that you had previously toured with on the road?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Definitely.
like be on a different tour and then you run into them, you're like, yo, like,
There were
Yeah.
sometimes actually we ran into people that we knew in the parking lot. Like Gideon was always a band that we ran into for some reason. I swear to God, we were always on tour at the same time, and we've done some runs with them. But then, like, we would just randomly at that time run into them, and it was so random. And I always had a ball and baseball and a glove, and I would always have a catch with their bass player. I think his name was Tim at the time. I forgot. I don't know. But anyway, it was the best, dude. Like running into people that you know and just throwing the ball around, just whipping it in a parking lot.
yeah, no, totally. And that's always been really cool. Or even just having like like old homies like come out to the shows, and just showing. Yeah, I honestly, that's the most rewarding part for me is just I guess that social aspect of it, and I don't know. I mean, how about you guys? I mean, what was your favorite part of being in a band? Was it recording? Was it touring? Was it the shows themselves?
So, I mean, for me, it was shows for sure.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say like I'm not the greatest musician of all time. I can play, I
Are
can
you?
write a little bit, but like I consider myself like a good performer. Like I'm a pretty chill dude, like outside,
Mhm.
like it just real life. Um, but like playing on stage was like my time to like let it go, and that was, you know, move around and be violent and whatnot. But like I mean, Andy and you know, Andy knows like when you meet me in person, I'm like very very chill and even keel. I don't have that. Like I'm not a I don't like not a big confrontation guy. Like I just like to do my own thing, and you could do yours. But playing shows was always my favorite. You know, you kind of like get on stage, black out a little bit for like 30, 40 minutes, and then it's over and you're like, that was fucking awesome. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I had the best time ever.
Dude,
Um,
that's interesting that you say that because you like how Joe, how you see Derek right now is how he is when he's super mad and super happy. Like,
pretty much. Pretty
I'm
much.
like, this is Derek. Just boom. And then but he was a fucking beast on stage. Like he would just turn into a different person.
Mhm.
That was fucking great to watch. I love that. And I think that's something cool about like kind of the genre or like heavy music in general is you could just lose yourself, right?
Right. No, totally. I mean, and it's kind of funny. I will say I definitely envy that about folks like Derek who are just like pretty even keeled because I really wish that I could just shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? And but I just can't. I mean, I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but even so, but I've just kind of I recognize that hey, that's just my personality. And I don't know. I mean, it's so definitely props to you because that's definitely something I envy. But
It,
I do as well. I do as well because I'm so like I shared in the morning. Maybe I'm bipolar and I'm just not diagnosed because I have these huge peaks and valleys, massive, and
mhm,
I'm just like, but I'm so like intense one way or the other. It's in passion, if you will. That's what I'll say. Very passionate, Joe.
you
But
are a
that's
very passionate person.
to be honest with you, I picked up on that pretty quickly via our DMs, and that's part of the reason why I told you where I was just like, I have a feeling you and I would get along really well in person. Like if you were in the area, I'd be like, this is a dude I want to hang out with. You
and
seem
we
like the kind of dude who would like get shit done, take it seriously, but also like definitely a handful of jokes are going to be thrown out while that's happening.
yeah,
For
we would have a good time. Just
Yeah,
laugh. We
Yeah, if
yeah,
have
you ever come over to our side, you know, we'll go out. You
there you
could
go.
experience Andy in person.
we're gonna take you out, Joe,
You
when you come.
never know. You never know what you're gonna get.
Super down. Andy, what's your favorite? What was your favorite part, or favorite part of being in band? Was it the shows too, or
Well,
recording?
I think that's a hard one because Derek kind of hit the nail on the head where you get to be this person on stage that you're not in normal life. You get to experience first of all, you get to experience fans, which is cool when people actually like you. Like obviously not every show is like that. Sometimes you're playing to like, on a Monday, Tuesday in front of the other bands and their girlfriends, which is it's part of it, but like and then eventually you grow. But I playing was great. When I'm playing the drums, nothing else matters. All my worries just melt away. I'm in my fucking happy place. So playing, same as Derek. However, when I'm on the open road and I'm looking at mountains or deserts or oceans, sorry, Nebraska, not so much you. When I'm seeing cornfields, I want to kill myself. But like, I love being on the open road when I just feel free. I just love that feeling of freedom where I don't have to think about real job, 9 to 5. I don't have to think about, anything anyone else has to think about. It's just like I have my friends. I'm making connections and it's such a different experience that you'd have people just have to experience.
Yeah,
Um, can you relate to that?
I would say I relate to that probably. That's probably my second favorite part of being in a band is when you are on tour and you're able to kind of take in the scenery, even Nebraska's cornfields, like, because I had never seen it, you know? So I was just like, this is a whole lot of the same stuff, but hey, this is cool. And to be honest with you, one of my favorite shows that we played was actually in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it was total college town, and there was people everywhere. It was hustling and bustling. I was just like, "What the hell?" I would think there'd be like 2 people here, but, um but, it's just I don't know. I mean, yeah, you just kind of escape, and like you said, you're with your friends, and especially if your co-pilot is that's the one thing that, like, I think especially me, Ryan, and Grayson, we just had a really good time. There was a tour that we had to do, or not a tour really, it was just a run that we did with Eyes Set to Kill about a year ago, and, it was, like, 2 different extended weekend runs, and on the 2nd run, um, the we were gonna backtrack bass because we didn't have a bass player, and then the lead guitar player, uh, who used to be in Lightworker, um, he got super sick, so he couldn't come out with us, and we were just like, "All right, fuck it, we'll Bill O'Reilly this," you know? Like
Do
yeah, exactly, and it was just me, Grayson, and Ryan, just, like, the 3 of us, the foundation of Lightworker, and it was probably one of the most relaxing, most fun things we did, and we made use of this stage every night, the whole stage. We just had a good time, um, and it just felt like I'm with my boys. We know, like, I have to say, one of the things that I loved about, and I feel like you only get this with people that you really know, or if you're like a touring person, but Ryan and I would talk for like hours on end, 2, 3 hours at a time, and then all of a sudden the conversation dies down. Or sometimes one of us would just be like, "Hey man, I think I'm good to just listen to music." And it's
Mhm.
nothing personal, and you just shut the fuck up for another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you just kind of reflect, and I think there's a lot of value to that, you
Mm.
know? I mean, and there's a lot of freedom to that, and you're just able to reflect and just kinda like what you said, just I mean, just kinda think about it, especially when you're in the PNW. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous,
Yeah,
you know? So
definitely.
but yeah, and then my favorite part of being in a band is honestly the creative process, which is funny because that's Grayson's. I wouldn't say it's the least favorite. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I know it's not his favorite for sure. But I love writing riffs and I love being collaborative. And
So you
but
write on the guitar?
yes, sir.
That's sick.
Yeah, like the beginning of I'm not sure if you guys listened to it, that song Burn Scar, that little picking part, that was me. Um, there's spots on I have guitar riffs on 5 of the 10 songs off of
Nice.
our latest record,
Yeah.
and then I have even more on the first.
Would you say you're the one like a main writer, or you just lead in riffs here and there?
Um, I would say Grayson's the principal songwriter, and then the way I look at it is my job is to write riffs that will hopefully spark an idea for him, and then, so I guess we just support each other. I don't know I don't
Great.
know how to define that, you know?
No, that's a good. I mean, that's a great thing to great thing to have, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
second perspective of just one songwriter. Sometimes I feel like it can get not repetitive, but a little bit, right? Without that outside look. But it seems like you're pretty involved and at the very least, like there for a lot of his writing.
oh,
As
yeah. Yeah, like, 'cause when we write and stuff, I mean, I'm very vocal about something I don't like.
right, you have to be. I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of people don't do that, or I should say, maybe a lot of young bands don't do that as much. But that's like your biggest advantage,
But
right?
you could also come close to having lead singer syndrome. Do you have that at all?
I I do all our merch. I help carry gear. Um,
These guys carrying gear and everything.
yeah,
That's an A+ member, Derek, right?
Yeah,
That's an A+.
yeah.
sure is.
I'm actually a bass player primarily until this band. I've never fronted a band until Lightworker. And actually, that's what I was about to say was that I think I'm still, I mean, I feel like you don't stop learning how to play live, you know? But for me, one of the things that I'm still learning to do is be a frontman and be the best possible frontman I can do. I mean, like, you watch, a variety of people and they all have different styles. I mean, like you've got Howard Jones, ex Killswitch Engage. Dude didn't move a whole ton on stage, but he was just commanding.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you have a guy like Josh Scoggin from Chariot or Greg Puciato from Dillinger,
Mm-hmm.
just no regard for their own
Safety.
being. Exactly. And just, like, and then you've got like, just people that are just, I mean, like Aaron Marsh from Copeland, who are just quiet as a mouse and just, and who knows? I mean, and so like for me, I think this second album and this cycle has actually been me kind of trying to figure out what what is it that I bring to the table, you know?
Right.
Um and so I'm looking for, and it's funny because I'm my late 30s and I'm still trying to figure that out. But and I think that's part of the reason why performing live isn't my favorite part yet.
You
Because
don't
it's like,
feel completely comfortable. Is that, or
no,
you're kind of searching for that thing?
yes, I'm searching for it and I'm used to having a bass in my hand
Right.
and just going ham, like, and just like I always looked at my position as like, because I've always been forced to sing and scream one way or another, but this was the first band where I actually had to front the band, and I was just like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah.
And for me, I always thought my purpose and the other bands, every band that I've been in, I've always been like, how Taking Back Sunday doesn't have like a full on second lead vocalist. It's just kind of like a dude that's kind of like behind Adam Lazara, but he doesn't take the full, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was used to being in my prior bands,
Right.
where it was like I sang a third of the songs and I was known for doing that, but I wasn't the main dude. I was still playing bass and whatnot. It's also a lot easier on the vocal cords when you're on tour.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
And
Joe,
so, uh-huh.
go ahead. I don't want to stop your thought.
Oh yeah, sorry. And so I mean, so this band has just been a whole process of me like figuring out like, hey, what are you gonna do live?
Yeah. It's important. Very important.
Do you focus do you just try to bring the most sex appeal that you can when you go on stage? Well, you have beautiful hair. Look at
Oh,
your hair.
thank you.
It's pretty.
I would say, well, there is, if you've looked on our band Instagram, there is me holding up a sign saying "Big Dick is back in town."
I love that. So you are hung. I like that you just put it out there.
You
We
know,
love that, Joe.
I mean, people find out.
So how the beautiful decay? Take me through the title of that record and what is it? What is the overall theme?
Overall theme is that I think it's going to differ between band member, but to me, I think to me it we noticed, I guess, the way that of life disappearing during that time. When we were writing the record, obviously this was like a little after 2020 and whatnot, and but also I lived alone and I didn't really see anybody for a long time, and so I was able to really reflect on a lot of things and just realizing, like, when we went into the pandemic, I was 33, and I just remember waking up one day and just noticing, like, hey, I've got lines on my forehead now. Like, I've got, like, my dog went from being a very youthful, I mean, he's still very hyper, but, but he went from 3 years old to when we're riding this record, 3 to 6, which is a really big jump for a dog. And that got me in my feels because I was just like,
Mhm.
and I think just recognizing that life is a beautiful thing, and but even though aspects of our lives and even ourselves would begin to decay, it always feeds into something else, so hopefully something else that's beautiful, like maybe even a romantic relationship, falling apart is like, okay, this really sucks, and it was a beautiful thing, and now it's decayed, but hopefully both parties walk away recognizing what they did wrong and what they could do better in the future with, if they decide to be in another relationship. Um, or recognizing that, you know, hey, this family member was a key person in my life. They have passed away and we had a beautiful relationship, a beautiful time, but it's it's gonna lead into another cycle. That person lives on through me and just ripples are always going. So I feel like it's just kind of like a circle. And
Yeah.
and ultimately I think that song, I mean, that's it's also a song, but I also think it's also just about, not gonna lie to you guys, writing that record was really difficult for a variety of reasons. And it had nothing to do with like any infighting in the band or whatnot. It's just, you know, this is public, so I feel, okay saying this, but Grayson had never dealt with any mental issues until this record, and because of COVID and all that stuff. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, he got so frustrated one day that he punched a hole in his wall, and and for me, like, just I just really retreated in myself like a cold ball sack. Just
Mhm.
you
Yes.
know, and
Yeah.
it was just so I think and I think on the other side of that whole era, now it's not just COVID, but just that era, right? And I feel like we had a little bit of, we kind of came up for air, and I feel like it's gonna be interesting to see where we go after this, because I can tell you one thing, and this is part of the reason why. Sorry, I answered your question and going and diverting into the next thing, which is which is I've part of the reason why Lightworker isn't going anywhere is because I've got a lot of anger stored up, and I'm pissed, and I've got some things to say, and it might rattle some of our listeners, it might not. Well, one of our songs, Burn Scar, definitely I got a couple of messages about it during the breakdown. There's a lyric that says hypocrisy in the shape of a cross.
Mhm.
Some people didn't really like that. But dude, if you're going to claim something, to follow something, be it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people say, they're about this God and God's supposed to be love, but then they hate others, whatever. I've
Yeah.
experienced that. I used to be a Christian and I understand that. I think that was my biggest qualm with Christianity is not necessarily the idea of a deity or the that, but I think the fan base ruins the band, so to speak. I think you know what I mean? I think I really like the way Dave Matthews plays, but their fans kind of are, I'm not friendly with Dave Matthews fans.
Right.
But
Dude,
that
dude, you should have seen some of the DMs I got when we first signed. Like when folks found out that we were not a Christian band and that I was the only Christian in the band. Like one dude that I had never met before in my life, and this is one of various DMs that are similar to this, said to me I needed to fire the rest of the band unless they were willing to convert. And and I was just like, well, dude, we don't want to be a Christian band. A, B, like, even though I do have faith, these guys have been there for me through phases of life where a lot of believers have just walked away from me.
Yeah.
So fuck you. Because A, you don't know who has the balls to say, I mean, like, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of crazy. And as we enter this new phase of life, like I said, I've got a lot of anger to spare. And it's not because of any political affiliation or anything like that. To me, it's just I actually I actually believe the red words in the Bible. I actually believe what Jesus said.
Right.
And I'm not gonna, I mean, that to me above all, like if you're gonna live a certain lifestyle or whatever, I mean, I'm just a human being. I'm just as flawed. You know what I mean? Like, if not worse. So like I mean, it's been very difficult in the season, and I think that's also a part of what how the beautiful decay also means to bring it back full circle. See what I'm doing there?
I
I
like that.
think it's one of those things where it's just kind of like you take something as if you're a Christian, you believe that Jesus is the most precious name on the planet, and to put your own name and sell your own version of a Bible, like you're desecrating it. It's,
Yeah.
it's just you're desecrating it, and like it's just wild, man. And so like at the end of the day, um, I think at this point where Lightworker is headed in the future, is I think I just want to be more bold lyrically. I'm not really a fan of swearing in the lyrics. I always think that's always kind of a little tacky, but I definitely have some strong words, stored up. And I just hope that some folks can hear it. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, I've received DMs like that. I've been called a cancer to other people. And just because I want to make sure that people are loved and respected, and it's just wild to me.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you got
wild.
me amped up for the next album.
Yes, we're sold. And
I'm
Joe,
excited.
maybe you could also start an OnlyFans for those who want to see your big wiener, because we all know that that's the case. We love that, and we love your vulnerability, and we love your heart. And thank you so much for chatting with us. This has been a pleasure, and I hope this is not the last time we see you. And hopefully we can hang out soon.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome, and I hope this is first of many conversations on camera and off.
Same.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Joe. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll definitely keep in touch and stay connected. Andy, next week, I think I did this last week, and I was wrong. Next
Yep.
week we got Dennis Walsh is coming on. So that'll be a fun conversation next Thursday, 7:30. Got some cool guests lined up through the rest of February. So check out the page at @tourbuds_show on everything. And I think that's it.
Last thing I want to say for anyone listening is still with us, or anyone that might be listening later on, if we are in the tri-state area, we do have the opportunity that we are going to be once a month doing bringing bands into the studio and having a special episode. So if anyone is in the tri-state area and wants to play some songs and chat with us, hit us up. So
Right
that
on.
is Joe.
Joe, just thank you again. Just hang for a few after we close down. We'll chat after for a sec. All right. Thanks, everybody. Later.
Toodles.